Start recording. Okay. Oh, there's Alejandra. All right. Okay, so everybody is here, minus 2 people. They're unable to make it, guys. Okay, so I'm gonna ask everybody to put it onto speaker view, okay? And then mute yourselves. That way I take up the full screen and you see just me. That way you get a close up, okay? All right, so there's that, guys. All right, so the first gnocchi that we'll start off with today is the ricotta gnocchi, okay? Because we have to refrigerate the dough for 15 minutes. All right, so before I start, I just want to let you guys know, okay, that a recipe when it comes to gnocchi is only a guideline. The measurements, what I give you or someone else gives you, won't always be exact because it varies on your potatoes, like how much liquid there is in your potatoes, how much liquid there is in your pumpkin, how much liquid there is in your ricotta cheese, and your environment in your room. If your room's too dry, like Alejandra, if you have your fireplace on, your dough might eat up more flour, you know. So those kinds of things affect your dough, okay? Now, the next thing I want to say to you guys, if it doesn't come out perfect or you're a little bit disappointed, do not get discouraged. The point of this course is for me to give you guys the tips and the technique so that you guys can keep using them, and then eventually practice makes perfect, okay? Some of you guys might get it right the exact first time. Some might take a few times. This is about learning the tips and the techniques so that you can get to where you need to be with your gnocchi making. Okay, guys? So we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna start off with the ricotta gnocchi. Now, the reason why you want to use store-bought ricotta and not say fresh ricotta cheese from your cheesemonger is for the fact that when you buy fresh ricotta cheese from your cheesemonger, it has a high water content, okay? I mean, this can eat up a lot more flour, which in turn will make a harder and more chewy ricotta. You want to be like ricotta gnocchi, you want to be melting in your mouth, okay? So the one from the store is perfect because there's not that much water in it, but you still have to drain it so you can get out as much water as you can so your dough doesn't eat up that much flour, all right? So 16 ounces of ricotta cheese, okay? Is everybody ready? Good to go? All right, guys. For the ricotta gnocchi, I started off in a plate, okay? It's because ricotta cheese is very sticky, so if you start it off on your surface, it's gonna stick everywhere and you're gonna have a huge mess, okay? So you wanna put your ricotta cheese in a flat plate, all right? And what I do is I spread it out, okay, guys? And there's a reason why I spread it out. You spread it out, you can spread out the ingredients on top of it, and it'll take less mixing, okay? The less you mix your dough, the better it is, okay? The key to gnocchi when you make it is not to overwork the dough. When you overwork the dough, that's when you're making a harder and tougher dough. And in the end, you get gnocchi that are hard, chewy, and don't melt in your mouth, all right? So we're gonna start off with that, okay? So your 16 ounces of ricotta cheese, okay, flattened out on your plate, all right? Your half a cup of grated Parmigiano cheese, all right? So you're gonna just sprinkle it on top of it all over the ricotta evenly, you know, like you're coating it, okay? And then your 1 teaspoon of salt, okay? And I know you guys are thinking, well, Parmigiano cheese is salty, right? But ricotta itself, even though it's a cheese tends to usually have salt, it's not salty. Ricotta is a very bland cheese, so you need to give it that extra kick. So you're gonna put in your 1 teaspoon of salt, okay, guys? Then, let me just put this to the side here, all right? You're going to need your flour. Now, what I tell people, okay, is you always start with less, okay? In this instance, less is more. The key is to put enough flour so that it holds and binds together and doesn't disintegrate when you cook it, okay? So you don't want to put too much flour that the dough is too hard, but you also don't want to put not enough flour that it falls apart, okay? So start off, with a little bit less than 3/4 a cup, okay? And then if you need to add more, you add more, okay? So I have 3/4, a little bit less than 3/4 cup in here. And like I said, I'm gonna sprinkle it on top, okay? Evenly, okay? All right, so there's that, okay? And then you want your 1 egg, okay? Now the next tip with the egg, do not crack it directly on top of the plate, okay?
Wait, did you say 1 cup?
Pardon?
Did you say 1 cup of flour?
So start off with just under 3/4 cup, and then if you need more, you can add more, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right, I think Monica got last. Sorry, Vanessa, if you can mute yourself again. All right, everyone's muted? Okay, perfect. Okay, guys, as I was saying, all right, crack your egg into a bowl and whisk it first, okay? Now, I'll tell you why I'm doing this, all right? You know how like when you try and hold an egg or you try and break it in your hand, it drops, it goes everywhere, it squirms around, okay? But if you were to just crack it and put it on top over here, it would just, and you start to crack it, that section that you cracked it and squeeze it into is going to absorb the most of that egg. So then in order for it to spread evenly throughout the dough, that means you have to work the dough even more, okay? So that's why I say you put it in a bowl, the egg, and scramble it first, okay? Whisk it first. That way it's already broken, okay? And that means less mixing and having to work the dough, okay? All right. Then, just kind of with your fingers push in the flour into the ricotta a bit. And now drizzle, okay, the egg all over, okay? So now it's gonna mix better. Okay, and then what you're gonna do is you're slowly gonna start to mix it all together. Okay, it's gonna be messy and it's gonna be sticky, all right? So you're gonna do it with your hands, okay? Until you see that most of the ingredients are well incorporated and that the egg has spread everywhere. And we're fortunate enough that the egg is yellow and that everything else in here is white. So you can pretty much tell when the egg has been evenly distributed because everywhere will have that kind of like light kind of beige tint to it. Okay. So you just want to push it in like this. You don't want to squeeze. You just want to kind of push it in. So you're working everything in. Okay. And if it's sticking to your hands like this, okay, that's fine. Don't worry yet. Okay. So just keep going a little bit more. Okay. Now, this is the tricky part. Okay, guys. Depending on how much moisture content there is in your ricotta, okay, you might not, oh my God, you might need to add a little bit more flour, okay? You want it to be slightly tacky. So you want it to stick to your hands, okay? Because then it's gonna firm up in the fridge. So you want it to stick to your hands, okay? But this is too much, okay? So I need to add a little bit more. And start off with just like a little sprinkle at a time, okay? Because like flour goes a long way, okay? So just start off with a little bit at a time. Okay, so I'm going to use a teaspoon and I'm going to start off a little bit and I'm going to like sprinkle it evenly on top, okay? Because I've done this before and I know my dough. I'm putting 2 extra teaspoons of flour right now, okay? And I'm just going to keep going a little bit more gently, okay? You don't want to beat it. You don't want to squeeze the crap out of it, all right? You want to treat it with a lot of love and care, okay, guys? And just keep going until you can see that it's starting to make a ball, okay? See, now it's starting to get into a ball, okay? Once you can make yourself a nice ball, now it doesn't have to be a perfectly smooth ball where it's hard and firm. You don't want that. You want it to still be like this, but you see it's gone into a ball now, okay? This is good, okay? Now, I'm going to keep it like this, okay? I'm gonna shape it, because this is good, okay? So how's everyone's dough so far? Have you guys achieved, like, can you make a ball with your dough like this? Okay, very good. Angela? Not yet. Alejandra? Very good. Monica? Can I see Monica? I can't see. I might have to scroll down. Monica, maybe if you unmute yourself and talk, then you'll just pop up on the screen. If you can. Okay. So now you're going to wrap it and foil wrap. Okay, so let me just kind of put, if you have any bits on your hand, just pile it on top. That's extra goodness that you want. Okay, guys. Now I'm going to wipe my hands here. And then you want to get your plastic wrap and wrap the dough, okay? All the way around, nice and secure. And then you're going to let it refrigerate for 15 minutes. The reason why we're letting it refrigerate for 15 minutes, okay, is so that the cheese settles again, right? And it gets, and the egg and the flour gets to melt and bind into the cheese, okay? Because this is a cheese. And also cheese, right? As you work it with heat, it gets soft and very pliable, right? So we want it to get a little firm so that when we shape the gnocchi, okay, we can work with it. All right. I'll just wrap it. Okay, and set it in the fridge for about 15 minutes. Okay. And wash your hands. Okay, so sorry guys, I had to go put it in the fridge and wash my hands, very important. Okay, then after the 15 minutes is up, all right, we're gonna take it out and we're gonna work with it. And then at that point, okay, if for some reason you see that it might be a little too sticky, you can always add more, okay? You can always gradually add a little bit more flour, but you can never take away what you put to it, okay? So that's why always a little bit at a time, all right? And then the next thing is once we're working with that dough, okay, need time 15 minutes right now. So 212 to say 230, okay? Once you start working with it, right, the heat from your hand is naturally going to make it more soft, okay? And at that time, you might be tempted to add more flour to it. Do not do that. What you can do instead, all right, is you flour your fingers and you flour your board if you're using a gnocchi board, or you flour your fork and just be more gentle with the dough, okay? It's because it's getting warm, right? And then after, you can let it set again in the fridge before you cook it, okay, once it's all shaped. All right, guys? So now we're gonna do the potato gnocchi. While we're waiting for the ricotta gnocchi, we'll start working on the potato gnocchi here, okay? So, all right, your potatoes that you either roasted or boiled and then riced, okay, guys? So now last night, I had someone ask me if they could prepare their potatoes the night before and then refrigerate them, and my answer was flat out no. And the reason for that, okay, is have you guys ever made potatoes before and then put them in the fridge and then the next day you get them, it's hard? All right. If you did that and then you try to work with that hard cold dough, it wouldn't eat enough flour to form a dough that wouldn't disintegrate in your water, okay? So that's why you never want to work with cold dough, all right? Sorry, cold potatoes. Alternatively, you also do not want to work with potatoes that are hot, okay? Because it will eat more flour. You know, when you're cooking something with flour, it eats it and eats it. If it's really hot, the same thing applies to, say, your pumpkin and your potato, okay? You don't want to work with it steaming hot and add flour to it, and you do not want to work with it cold straight from the fridge. Room temperature is fine, okay? That's perfect room temperature. That is ideal, okay? So you're gonna get your potato that you riced, and you're gonna put it on your board, okay, guys? Or on a plate, whatever rocks your world. Okay, just skip over here. All right, guys. All right, and then to this now, okay, I'm going to add,
Sorry. Hi. I didn't measure a pound because I know the recipe said a pound.
yes,
I just roasted a bunch of potatoes.
okay.
How do I know like how much I should
Okay.
use?
So you should have weighed your potatoes beforehand so that you know you had exactly 1 pound, okay? So what you're gonna do is, okay, measure this for you and let you know what it comes out to, and then with a measuring cup, okay, and then you'll know how much you'll need, okay? So that's another way to do it. I would tell you to go by eye, but that's not good if you're learning to make gnocchi for the first time or trying to improve your technique. So that's 1 cup right there. Okay. So you need about 2 cups. Okay, Vanessa, 2 cups of your potato. Okay. All right, guys. So there you go. If you didn't weigh your potatoes beforehand and you already rice them and you need to measure it out right now, it's 2 cups. 1 pound of uncooked potatoes equivalent to 2 cups cooked potato rice. Okay. So now you're going to get 1 teaspoon of salt. Okay. You're going to sprinkle it on top. Okay. There you go. Then you're going to do your flour again. And like I said, start off with less is more. So start off with about 3/4. Sorry, so, oh, she got booted. Someone got booted? Angela got booted? Okay, hold on. So I'm just waiting for you to add me. What the heck? Angela, you there? Oh, she got.
Lisa,
Yeah.
you're recording, right?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Well, let me just make sure. Try again. Someone got booted. I'm just trying to figure it out. But I think this is her. No, she's there. Angela, you're there. You're here. You're here, babe. You're here. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. So like I said, sorry about that. I just want to make sure everyone's here, you know. Okay, you start off with 3/4 first, and then if you need to add a little bit to get a full cup, then you can do that, okay? Like I said, less is more, okay? And the same thing, I got my potatoes and I spread it out on my board. You do not want to make a mound, okay? For the same reason, you want to be able to evenly incorporate everything with the least amount of work and kneading as possible in order to prevent getting a hard and chewy dough, okay? And then again, you're going to beat your egg, okay? Crack your egg first. Always, always crack your egg. And then beat it in your bowl and then proceed to pour it on top for the same reason as I specified before. Okay, guys? It just makes it much easier to work the dough and get everything incorporated. Okay? And now I put a little bit and I'm going to mix it and then I'm going to put more in because it's dripping all over my board. Okay? It's going to make a mess, but that's fine. You can make a little hole or well in the middle, which I should have done. Okay, and now mix it, okay? Like the same way you did the gnocchi, okay? Just gently squeeze and use like your fingertips to push everything in, okay? And once again, depending on the water content of your potatoes, okay? That's going to determine how much flour you need, okay? So you might need to add a little bit more, you might not, all right? So I always tell people if you have new potatoes, okay, it's always best to do them in the oven so that way it sucks out the moisture and won't eat up as much flour, okay? Alternatively, if you're short for time and you don't want to put them in the oven because it'll take a while in the oven to bake them whole, right? You can zap them in your microwave for 15 minutes. Just put them in there whole with the skin on, zap them for 15 minutes, okay? So this here is going to need, okay, mine, just a little bit more flour because it's very sticky. It's sticking to my board. You don't want it to stick to your board, okay? And it shouldn't be sticking to your hands like this. This is too tacky, too sticky, okay? You want it to be so that it's slightly kind of sticky to your hand, almost, you know, like it's kind of tacky, you know, when you take a bubble gum out of your mouth, that kind of feeling, like that, okay? That's how I can best describe it to you guys. So I'm adding, okay, 2 teaspoons more of flour to mine, okay? So this is where you have to use your judgment, okay, guys? This is why I tell people that gnocchi is a type of thing where practice makes perfect. The more you do it, the more you'll realize, okay, this is where it needs to be, or I don't need any more flour, or I do need more flour, or okay, you know what? Next time I should have done it this way, all right? So that's why I always, like I said before, the measurements that I gave you guys are just like a general guideline, okay? But from there, you have to use your intuition, okay? And you have to use common sense, all right? So let me just get my dough scraper here. Scrape up the goodness from my board, okay? So if you guys notice when we did the ricotta gnocchi, it took a little bit less mixing, okay? But the potato here, you don't want to mix it too much, but it does require a little bit more mixing, okay? So how's everyone's dough? See, my dough now has gotten to a point where I can make like a nice ball to it. Okay, it's still a little bit sticky, so I'm just gonna add, okay, 1 more teaspoon of flour. So in total, I use 3/4 of a cup plus 3 teaspoons of flour so far. Okay, guys, based on my potatoes. And I boiled my potatoes because they were older potatoes. Okay, so I didn't have to roast them. Okay, because at the same time, you also don't want it to be too dry. Okay. So there's a fine line between something being too dry and too moist, okay? And I think that's where a lot of people get discouraged when it comes to making gnocchi, and they can't understand where they went wrong, okay? So just a little bit more, okay? And there's another thing. Yes, Alejandra, there's something you need to ask?
Yeah, just a quick question. When you're talking about old potatoes versus new potatoes,
Yes.
how do you know? Obviously, I assume if you get it yesterday at the supermarket, it's a new potato.
Yes.
How long is it until you consider it an old potato? Like, what texture are you looking for?
Oh,
Is it like
those little spores, those little things that come out, that's considered an old potato, okay? So if you have potatoes like that, those are perfect. When they have not long, huge spores where it's like coiling around. That's way too old. Just see starting to get those little spores on it. That's an old potato. Okay, that's a perfect potato for making gnocchi. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So this here is still a little bit tacky, mine. So I'm adding just a little bit more. So right now, guys, I'm at 3/4 a cup and about 4 teaspoons extra flour. Okay. And if you notice, like I'm moving around and touching my dough, but I'm not really like, kneading it as bread. Okay. And the reason why you don't want to knead it as if you were making bread dough or pasta dough is because we're not trying to build gluten in here. Okay. The more you work flour, the more you build gluten, right? And the gluten is what makes something sturdy and hard, okay, and chewy. So you don't want that, okay? So I'm almost there. I'm gonna put just a little bit more. So I would say right now I'm about 3/4 a cup and 5 teaspoons of flour, okay? And I think after this, I'm good to go. Okay? Does anyone have any questions? Is anyone finding that their dough is too soft, too hard? Any questions? You just go right ahead, unmute yourself, ask me, and I'm more than happy, okay, to help you. That's what I'm here for. Yes.
Like this?
Very good. Yeah, that's good. Okay, guys. So I'm done mine, and I'm going to show you how mine looks, okay? All right, guys. So this is my dough, okay? And let me just turn off my light for a second so you guys can see it better. There we go. Okay, so this is my dough here, okay? See, I can make indentations into it still, but it's slightly tacky, okay? But not too tacky. This is good, okay? Because then as you're shaping and rolling it, you're gonna be adding a little bit more flour, okay? So that's also why you don't wanna put too much flour into your dough, okay? All right, guys. Is everybody out where they should be at with their dough? Or do you think yours needs a bit more flour? Okay, so I'm going to flour my surface here. We can start off with this while, because the ricotta gnocchi needs to rest a bit more. Okay, so as you can see, it doesn't take long to actually make the dough or to even make gnocchi itself, okay, guys? So if you see what I'm doing here, I'm just dusting it in flour like this, okay, rolling it back and forth, okay? Now I'm gonna get it and I'm going to divide my dough into about 3 or 4 portions, okay? And then you're gonna roll them out, okay? And what you wanna do is have a cookie sheet ready to go, floured, so that you can put your gnocchi on there as you're done shaping them. Okay, so here's the next thing, guys. How you shape your gnocchi is dependent on your sauce, okay? So what do I mean by that? Okay, depending on the sauce that you want with your gnocchi is how you can decide whether you want to shape them with the gnocchi board or leave them just plain. So throughout Italy, there's different variations. Some will use the gnocchi board or a fork so you get those ridges in them. And then some will just cut them into the little squares and leave it like that. Some form them into small little balls, all right? So if you're gonna eat a sauce, say plain tomato sauce or ragu meat sauce, you want your gnocchi to have indentation so that way it holds the sauce, okay? It's like a vessel for the sauce. If you're gonna do like a cream sauce, you can do either or, okay? Not shape them with the ridges or have ridges. If you're gonna enjoy a brown butter sage sauce, because it's butter and you don't wanna have like a whole bunch of butter stuck into your gnocchi and in your mouth, because as much as butter is yummy, it's also kind of gross when you have a ton in your mouth, right? You don't wanna put any ridges, okay? So what I recommend is, you guys, if you're going to actually eat the potato gnocchi tonight, have it with you can have it with any one of the sauces, the ragu, the panna sauce, or the brown butter sage sauce, okay? So if you're gonna eat with the brown butter sage sauce, do not put the grooves in there, right? If you're gonna enjoy your ricotta gnocchi tonight, I suggest either the ragu sauce or the panna sauce, not the brown butter sage. I personally don't like it. I don't think it goes well with ricotta, okay? And if you're gonna have the pumpkin gnocchi, I suggest any one of the sauces is perfect with it, okay? And like I said, if you're gonna do the panna or the ragu, put the ridges. If you're gonna do the brown butter sage, don't put the ridges in it, okay? So tonight, I like my potato gnocchi with ridges. That's how I grew up with them, and I traditionally eat it with ragu sauce. So I'm gonna put mine with the ridges. So guys, now I'm rolling it out into a rope, okay? And you wanna be gentle with it, okay? You should be able to work your gnocchi dough, your potato gnocchi dough, and make a rope without it sticking to your board or to your hands, okay? If you're finding that it's sticking, all right, that means you put not enough flour. Go back and add more flour. Just grab all the dough, put it together, and slowly add a little bit more. Alternatively, if you're trying to roll it and you see that it's way too soft and breaking, alternatively, if you're rolling and you see that it's way too hard, okay, and that you're having issues and it's fighting back, that means you put too much flour in it and then you're at the point of no return. So you kind of have to suck it up or start all over again from scratch, okay, guys? So mine feels delicate. It should feel delicate, almost like, you know, it's kind of gonna rip slightly if you keep going, okay? But it's not, okay? So I rolled it out into a rope here. Okay, and then you guys can also do the boil test. If you're worried that maybe your dough is too soft and you think it's gonna disintegrate, okay, roll it out the way I am into a rope, cut some squares, you know, say about 5, 6, get a pot of water, boil it, and then drop those pieces of dough into the boiling water, okay? If you see that it's fine, your dough is good. If you see that it disintegrated, that means your dough needs more flour. And that's also a good way to taste, like if it didn't disintegrate, is it chewy, right? That's the ultimate taste test, okay, guys? So now let me just clean my hands here a bit. Okay, so once you've got your rope, you can use a sharp knife or your pastry scraper, and you're just gonna cut squares, okay? Try and make them as even as possible, okay? And you want them to be maybe about like your, you know, your thumbnail, or slightly a little larger or slightly a little smaller, okay? Okay, and then what you do is you just sprinkle a little flour on them, okay? Toss it a bit like this, okay? So that way it's not sticking, right? And that's why, again, you don't want to add too much flour, because now you're adding a little bit of flour again, okay? And you're gonna toss them before you shape them. The reason why you're doing this, so that if you're shaping them, they don't stick to your board or your fork, okay? So now that I'm gonna shape them, okay? So if you guys are shaping them, pretty sure, you know, this is pretty self-explanatory. You guys might have seen this before, but if not, this is your board. Okay, I'm gonna shut off the light here so it's not too bright. All right, guys, I think that's better. Okay, so this is your board, got your gnocchi, and you're just going to get your thumb and gently roll it over, okay? and it should hold the shape. If it's not holding the shape, that means your dough is too soft. Okay? And you're gonna keep going and doing it and place them onto your floured cookie sheet, all right? And just keep going. Okay? So like I said, guys, this really is not difficult. Okay? Now, if you don't have a gnocchi board and you're gonna use a fork, let me grab a clean fork because that one has yolk on it. Okay. This is old school, guys. This is a lot of Italians. This is what they really use, this or a basket, okay? You get your fork with your thumb and you do it on the prongs of the fork. Same thing, concept, and roll it, okay? This is old school. You can go like that, okay? I like the gnocchi board just because I can hold it like this and go faster. I'm all about time. I'm pretty sure you guys are too. When you work or you got kids or you got both, you want to be able to do what you got to do, but you know, as quickly as you can, right? And there you go, guys. So we're gonna keep going with the rest of the potato dough, okay? And then when we're done that, we'll do the gnocchi, the ricotta ones, because it'll be time, and then we can do the pumpkin ones. So does anyone have any questions?
I do, sorry.
Yes.
Just to confirm, I'm doing the gnocchi like on the board.
Okay.
The sides that you cut should be this way, right? Not that way. Just like we did last time with the pasta.
At the same time, if you floured it really well, at this point, it shouldn't matter, okay?
All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep pouring now, and I'm gonna roll out more here. Okay, and gnocchi are very filling. Doesn't matter if it's the ricotta ones and the potato ones are very filling because potatoes filling and ricotta cheese, like cheese is high in protein, that's very filling. Okay, so this here may not seem like it's a lot of dough, but this can feed at least 4 people because, and depending on portion size, right? So I say 4 people. Like this here in my house is probably enough for 6 people because we don't eat too much and it fills us up very fast. Okay. If you're having guests over, you simply just double, triple, quadruple your recipe. Okay, guys? So keep pouring. Okay, and then again, now that I cut, I'm going to sprinkle some more flour here. Okay, and I'm going to toss them. And the flour, move it around so that it's coated in the flour so they don't stick. Okay. And keep pouring now. There you go. Okay, and the next key thing is you want to put enough pressure to make the groove design and have an indentation. So I'll show you, like, see, you should be able to see like a thumb hole. You should be able to see like a thumb hole, okay, right there. I don't know if you can see properly. Okay, on the one side, it'll have the ridges from the board. The other side should have a thumb hole, okay? So you want to do enough pressure that you get that, but not too hard that like you're squishing your gnocchi, okay? So that's the next key as well. It's just little tips like that and little elements, just some thoughtfulness that will make a big difference in your gnocchi preparation, okay? Gnocchi freeze very well, guys. All right, so you can pick whatever ones you want to eat tonight and the rest you freeze. All right, before you freeze them, you get your cookie tray and you put it into the freezer and let them completely freeze on the cookie tray, all right? Then you could put them into Ziploc bags or plastic containers and then freeze them away, all right? And then when you're ready to cook them, do not defrost them. Just put them in straight from frozen into your boiling pot of water, okay? Because if you defrost them, they're gonna stick, okay? And then all your hard work was for nothing, okay? So how does everyone feel about their dough? Do you think your dough's too hard, too soft? Do you feel good about it? Guys, let me know. If you think you made a boo-boo, you let me know. You might be able to rectify it. Okay, there's no judgment here, no judgment zone. We're all learners. I'm still always learning constantly, especially if there's a way to save time on something. I'm all for it because, you know, time is of essence. Okay, well, and then again, just keep going, guys. And then once we're done here, like I said, we'll do the ricotta ones, and then we'll do the pumpkin ones. And then I'm going to show you guys how to make the ragu sauce and how to make papana sauce. And if you guys are going to eat the brown butter sage, then we make that as well. If not, then we won't make it, and I'll tell you why. Ragu sauce can be frozen and kept in the fridge or kept in the fridge for up to 2 days. Pana sauce can also be frozen or kept in the fridge for up to 2 days. Brown butter sage sauce, you cannot freeze, you cannot keep in the fridge because it's butter that's been browned with sage, and if you don't enjoy it right away, it's nothing, it's garbage. You have to throw it out after, okay, guys? So that's why I'm telling you, if you're not going to be eating that sauce tonight, do not make it, all right? And if anyone's wondering what's the difference between a pana sauce and an Alfredo sauce, pana has no cheese in it. There is no Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. The minute you add Parmigiano Reggiano cheese to your pana sauce, it becomes an Alfredo sauce. So that's the difference, okay? So Alfredo is a sauce made with cream, but it's cheesy from the Parmigiano, whereas pana, there is no Parmigiano in it, okay? So that's some other stuff for you guys. If you were curious and wondering what's the difference and why is it called this, there you guys go, okay? Some more information for you. You know, if someone ever asks you, you can, you know, make it seem like you're a smart ass. You know everything about Italian food. Okay, so keep some gentleness. Oh my God, I'm already getting hungry, guys. Never make stuff when you're hungry. Okay. Keep going. So good. Has anyone made gnocchi before? Or is this everyone's first time? Or you've attempted before and you don't know where you went wrong?
I've made it before on like trying to follow Google. Not Google,
Yeah.
I Googled the recipe. And the first time it came out like not too bad, like it was edible. The second time it all mushed together. I was like, threw it all in the garbage.
All right.
And that's it.
And that's it. Okay, so now you'll know today after here what if it doesn't come right, if you find it too chewy, now you'll know why it's too chewy. Too much flour, too much working the dough, okay? If you find that it's too soft, then you'll also know why now today. Not enough flour, not enough working the dough, too much water. So then you can experiment, okay? And you keep going, guys. Okay. I think I'm gonna need another sheet for my thing here. And the next thing is when you put them on your sheet, try not to, your cookie sheet, don't overcrowd it because then also it's gonna stick, okay? So if you need to get another sheet, get another sheet. Okay, you don't want to do all this work and then skimp out on space and then you have sticky gnocchi. Okay, and then alternatively, before you cook them, guys, I suggest you let them rest in your fridge for 20 minutes just so that they firm up, okay, guys, a bit, especially the potato ones. Okay, potato gets nice and firm in the cold. So that's what I normally do. That's how I was taught. Hasn't failed me yet. Okay. And then when you cook your gnocchi, you want to make sure that you're cooking it in a lot of well salted boiling water. Always make sure it's a really hard boil and it's been well salted. Okay, I always tell people, always add more water to the pot than you think is necessary. And you'll know your gnocchi are cooked the moment they float to the top. As soon as they float to the top, they're cooked, okay? That's when you drain them or you ladle them out. And then serve it with your sauce. And then there you go. Okay. This is very relaxing. Well, for me it is anyways. Whenever I'm stressed, this is what I do. Cook or bake, relaxing. Until someone decides to come and bug me. Does it happen to you guys too? Or is it just me? Okay, guys. See, and then, you know, eventually you'll get faster at doing it. Okay, all right. So now I'm done. All my potato gnocchi. How are you guys there? Are you guys done? Okay, and then I'm gonna go put this tray in the fridge so that it firms up. Oh, my stomach's making sounds. So if you guys hear a rumble, it's just my stomach saying, I want to eat now.
Lisa, I have my neighbor coming over after to eat all of this gnocchi. So
All right.
I'm probably gonna cook all of it tonight.
Okay. So what I'm gonna say is I would suggest to have the pumpkin gnocchi with the brown butter sage, okay? And then have the potato gnocchi with the cream sauce, and then have the ricotta gnocchi with the ragu sauce, only because ricotta gnocchi is cheese, right? And cheese and cream, that's a lot of dairy, right?
Right. Okay, I'll do that. Okay.
Okay. And then obviously cook them in separate pots, right? So
Cook the gnocchi in separate pots. Okay.
so you're not gonna cook them all mixed together, obviously. Right? Yeah.
Okay. But
Okay. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna go put mine in the fridge, let them get firm up, and I'm gonna grab my ricotta dough. Okay, so I'm back. I got my ricotta dough as well. Put the other ones in the fridge. I'm so parched. Okay.
Lisa,
Yes.
2 questions for you.
Yeah.
The gnocchi, do they have to, I know they all have to be even in order for them to cook, but can you, if you want to make larger gnocchi, and I know it takes longer to boil, or should it always be the size of a thumbnail?
To make larger gnocchi, when you cook them, the same element applies. Sorry, as soon as they float to the top, they're cooked. So it might take a little longer for them to float to the top, but the rule will always be as soon as the gnocchi float to the top, they're cooked. Doesn't matter what size they are, okay?
All right, and the other question I had was, in the case that I don't have time to make all the dough at once, can I wrap up the dough and leave it in the fridge for later, or can it be frozen, or you have to mold them right away?
Mold them right away for the same reason as I said before. If you make, say, like the gnocchi dough or the pumpkin, like especially, the potato dough, as soon as it becomes cold, right, it's going to be too hard to shape them and it might crack, all right? The ricotta dough, okay, you can keep that refrigerated for up to a day, 2 days, that's fine. Okay, the pumpkin dough, you need to work it right away, okay? And freeze the dough, like once you made the gnocchi, you can, but you can't make the dough and then freeze it and then decide you're going to work with it. It doesn't work that way, okay?
All right, thanks.
Okay, guys, so I got my ricotta dough here, all right? So now, if you guys have your dough with you, I'm not sure if you guys are there yet. If you guys need me to slow down, please tell me. Okay, I want to make sure that we're all at the same page so that no one's behind. Okay. Okay, guys, so once you get your ricotta dough for the gnocchi, you'll notice now that it's only slightly kind of tacky, you know, like a tackiness to it, but not super sticky. That's the magic of putting it into the fridge, all right? Now, alternatively, if it's too sticky still for you, then you need to add a little bit more flour, okay? And the way you can do that, all right, is as you're rolling it out, okay? So I got my gnocchi, my ricotta dough here. I'm going to split this into quarters, just because it's easier to work with. Okay, keep it there. And then the same thing applies. Okay, make sure your board is well floured, not like a amount of flour, but enough so that's not sticking. Okay, and you should have, like, when you cut into quarters, it should be about the size of, like, you know, a tennis ball or a baseball. That's the perfect size to work with. Okay, and what I do is I kind of squish it and elongate it. Okay, I'm making like a little mini football. That's how I started off. And then it makes it easier, and then you can start rolling. Okay, in the same way as the potato gnocchi, roll them, roll it onto a long rope and be gentle. Okay. Now, I really, 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 really love ricotta gnocchi because they're just so light and fluffy and pillowy, and it's because it's a cheese. It's like it melts in your mouth, and you get that nice taste of, like, a slight taste of ricotta cheese, and then a little bit of the Parmigiano Reggiano taste to it. Okay, and if you want it to be like adventurous, you could add nutmeg to it. You know, you could add a little bit of chopped parsley to it into your doughs. Okay, once you're comfortable enough, you guys can like experiment. Okay, you can build up your flavors. Yes, babe. Okay, I will help you. Okay, my love. Sorry, guys, that's my kiddo. Okay, and again, just be gentle and roll it out. Okay, and now you're going to again cut them into the same size as you did like the potato gnocchi. Okay, and then again, once you've cut them, okay, flour them. All right. So now, like I said, you can shape them or leave them like this, depending on your sauce. Okay. You're doing the ricotta gnocchi with the ragu sauce, put the indentations. Okay. It'll hold that nice meaty sauce very, very well. Okay, and move them around. And then the same thing. So now, because ricotta dough is, because it's ricotta cheese, it might get a little sticky at this point as you're trying to shape it, especially with the heat from your fingers. Okay, flour your gnocchi board. That's what I do. I put some flour and I go like this and then dust it. Okay, so that way it doesn't stick as you're rolling. Okay, and then just roll. And as you're rolling, you're gonna see how soft and tender this dough is. Okay, so you gotta be gentle. You wanna, like I said, put enough pressure so that way you get the indentations, the ridge, and that thumb indentation on the underside. Okay, but you don't want to break it. Okay, and just keep going. Okay, so I'm fairly confident that out of all the gnocchi we're making, you guys are going to be probably the most successful with the ricotta ones. Ricotta gnocchi, guys, actually, in my opinion, it's pretty much foolproof. The easiest of the gnocchis to make. Okay, and I think if you've never tried these before, you're going to really enjoy the flavor and the tenderness of it. Okay, so I'm done these ones. There. And keep going. So if you guys are already working with the shaping of your ricotta gnocchi, how does the dough feel to you? Does it feel too sticky? Does it feel very gentle? Does it feel hard? Okay, again, if you think you did something wrong, let me know. If you have any questions, you're having any issues, something you're unsure of, go ahead and ask.
Sorry, mine is very, very fluffy. Is that okay?
Fluffy is good. That's the key. Ricotta gnocchi are fluffy, okay? You notice that, like, when you cut it open over here, you'll see that it looks fluffy like a cloud. That's beautiful, okay? That's a beautiful thing that you have going on. That's a good sign, okay? And that's the best description that you can give ricotta gnocchi, is that they're fluffy. They're literally like pillows. Yeah, he does. Yeah. Okay, keep going. Yeah, it's gonna go some flour now that I cut them. Okay, toss together so it doesn't stick. Yeah. Okay. And roll. Okay. Also, if you don't have, like I said, the gnocchi board, and you don't want to use a fork, it's also traditional to use a cheese grater. That is correct. You can also use a cheese grater. And it'll give it kind of like a spiky texture. That's also traditional. Okay, so that's something else you guys can experiment with another time. Is trying to shape them with the gnocchi grater. It would be the exact same way as you do with, say, the gnocchi board or the fork, but you're just doing it with the grater. Okay, that's like something fun, you know, something a little different and out there. Okay. Okay. Now I'm on to my third last ball. Okay, just keep going. All right, how's everyone doing? Everyone doing good? I'm just watching, seeing, spying on you.
Lisa, are these going in on a baking sheet as well back in the fridge when we're done?
Yeah, so once you're done, you're gonna put them in the fridge to set as well, okay? And then, like I said, if you're not gonna eat these ones tonight, you can freeze them, okay? So you put them in your freezer on the cookie sheet, and then once they're completely frozen, then you can package them either in a Ziploc bag or a container, okay? So you always wanna, like I said, refrigerate your gnocchi for a bit before you cook them, just to firm them up a bit. Okay. And then also, if you want to be a little decorative, in the sense that like you don't want to shape your gnocchi with the gnocchi board and you just want to keep them as is, you can cut them on a diagonal so that they look like little triangles. Okay, so instead of cutting it straight to a square, you just move your knife or your scraper into like a 45 position. Okay, and then you'd have like little diamonds. Okay, that's also a way to do it as well. Okay. So if you're short for time, but you still want to be a little bit of impressive and have some fun, that's a quick way to make it look a little different instead of just leaving them square. Okay, guys? Is everyone eating gnocchi tonight, or is everybody just gonna, or are you guys gonna freeze them? I know I'm eating gnocchi tonight. There's no way I'm doing all this work and not enjoying some tonight. And then one kind will freeze for Christmas Day. See you guys? Look at that. You guys have some meals here going on, eh? And this is good because you just take like, say, now 2 hours on a Saturday, and you can make 3 different kinds. And then you have a meal for Saturday and 2 other meals for another time. You know, if you're into meal planning and prepping, this is a good one to do and use because it's easy, but you get delicious food. It's healthy, it's hearty, it's filling. Okay. And then, as I always say, guys, snap some pictures if you can. DM them to me, email them to me, post them, tag me in them. Okay. Makes me happy when you guys share. Word of mouth. Best advertisement around. All right, guys. I'm on to my last one here for the ricotta ones. And then we're going to do the one. And then we're going to start with our sauces, okay? We're going to start with the ragu sauce because that takes about an hour to cook, okay, guys? A minimum an hour, you can get away with it. Alternatively, you could easily turn the ragu sauce into a bolognese sauce. What's the difference between a ragu sauce and bolognese? Bolognese is called ragu bolognese, okay? It's just ragu, all right? So bolognese is just the addition of cream or heavy cream or milk to the sauce, all right? So if you guys wanted to turn your ragu into a ragu bolognese, you just let me know and I'll tell you when to insert cream or the milk into it, okay? You can use heavy cream or you can use whole milk, okay? And then as for the brown butter sage, like I said, if you're going to enjoy that sauce tonight, then make it, okay? Now the next thing is brown butter sage sauce. You should make it while your gnocchi are cooking, okay, guys? So that it's fresh, or else the brown butter is just gonna sit there and then it loses its impact, all right? Cold butter starts to coagulate after, right? It gets cold again, and then you'll have to warm it up again, okay? But I gave you guys exactly the clear instructions on how to do it. It's the easiest thing ever. You guys have ever melted butter before and you've left it a little too long and see that it gets brown? You've made brown butter successfully without even realizing it, okay? You're just gonna add sage leaves to it and the crushed garlic to give it flavor. Just make sure that you fish out the garlic because you don't want to serve it with the garlic. Serving it with the sage leaves is fine. You can put in the sage leaves whole or you can rip them gently. Okay, some people like to eat the sage leaves, some people don't. That's all preference, okay? I hear noises. Okay, so I'm done with my ricotta gnocchi. I'm gonna put the rest on my sheet and I'm gonna put them in, pop them into the fridge. Okay. So good. Oh. And again, like I said, don't overcrowd your sheet, okay? And make sure that you floured it. Prevent any sticking. We don't want to have any collateral damage with our gnocchi. Okay, now I'm gonna go pop this into the fridge as well. And then I'll be right back and we'll do the pumpkin one. Okay, so in the meantime, if you're already done, just clean up your board a bit, okay, so that you can work with your pumpkin dough, okay? And alternately, wash your hands as well because you don't want to mix any dough from the ricotta into the pumpkin dough. Started? Yeah. What? I see you're so evil. I love it. Okay, guys, I'm back. Got to clean my hands. Very important to clean as you go along. Just makes your life easier. Okay, guys, so now the pumpkin gnocchi. Let me just put this aside.
I don't know about everybody else, but I just have one more roll.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, we'll give it another few minutes. When you're done, Vanessa, you let me know, and we'll start with the pumpkin gnocchi, okay? So in the meantime, everyone else, if you want to grab something to eat, you want to drink some water, clean up your space a bit, perfect time. Okay, I'm going to, all right. All right, good. Okay, I'm just gonna get my egg ready.
Polita, why is it that gnocchi is so expensive at restaurants and you get like the littlest piece? Like,
People will pay for it.
it's insane. That happened to a friend of mine. We went out to an Italian restaurant and she ordered gnocchi, and it was literally like, we counted it was 9 pieces of gnocchi and it cost her like $15.
Like I said, they can and people will pay for it. If people didn't pay for it, then they wouldn't do that, right?
Okay.
Any kind of food that you go at a restaurant, like for instance, you go to an Italian restaurant and you order a plate of pasta carbonara, they're gonna charge you like $15, $20 for it. When in reality, $15, $20, you can make enough to last you a week. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the part of it when you go to a restaurant. You know, you're always gonna pay a lot more for something. Like, and also,
Right.
I'll give you an example. I can buy 2 huge pieces of also for $20. Okay, I go to a restaurant and I want to buy that exact dish. One is $40 just for one, and it doesn't even come with a side. Okay, so you know, same thing, right? It's convenient. Go to a restaurant and you enjoy yourself, right? But if you want that kind of food without paying for it and having, you know, being so expensive, you make it yourself at home, right? Okay. Okay, and also guys, if you're using the gnocchi board, it might be a little dirty now in the sense that like some dough might be stuck into it, okay? You can clean it using a knife or your dough scraper by just going like this into the ridges, okay? This is a good tip and technique to clean it, okay? Especially because you don't want to wet your gnocchi board, okay? These kinds of tools, you do not want to wet and submerge in water, because what you do is you're working the wood and destroying it, and also essentially you might be making it moldy, okay? You don't want to do that, okay? Just use your scraper, knife, fork, take your time. Okay, so there, my board's clean. The next step, okay? And I'm just gonna go discard some stuff here. Clean space is important. Okay. I'm very thirsty.
Sorry, so the pumpkin ones are still staying in the fridge?
Sorry,
The potato ones, are they still staying in the fridge?
yeah, like you could take them out whenever you're ready to cook them. Okay, so they can stay in there until you're ready to cook them. If you're not cooking them today, like I said, freeze them. All right, they can stay in your fridge though like that up to a day. So even if you don't want to cook them today, but you want to cook it tomorrow, you can leave them in the fridge, but just lightly cover it with plastic wrap. Do not cover the plastic wrap too tight, because then it's going to build condensation and it's going to make it moist and sticky. Okay, guys?
And if I want to freeze it, do I freeze it like it is right now on the baking sheet, and when they're frozen, you put them in a Ziploc?
Correct, exactly.
Okay.
This one too. All right. So I'm just. All right, guys. Okay. Vanessa, you're good to go?
Yep, I was just scraping my spoon.
Guys, so now we're going to sorry, my brain some days. We're gonna make the pumpkin gnocchi, or if you're using butternut squash, okay, either or is good, all right, guys? So I'm using a plate for this one as well because, you know, pumpkin, high water content as well. It's a little, you know, oozy and sticky. You don't want to ruin my board. Okay, so the same process, lay it out flat like this, so it makes mixing a lot easier, okay? And then you're gonna put in, okay, your 1 teaspoon of salt, just sprinkle it. And now the fun part, freshly grated nutmeg. If you have pre-grated, that's fine, okay? I like to buy it fresh. It's like a round little ball, okay? It's just, in general, say like even allspice, black pepper, when you grate it yourself, it has like the most flavor, all right? So you can put as much as you like, okay? If you're don't like nutmeg, omit it, okay? If you're a nutmeg lover and you like the heavy taste of nutmeg, put a little extra, all right? So this is all on preference, okay? I'm not gonna tell you it has to be exactly a certain amount, okay? We say, you know, fino basta until you think it's enough, all right? Just like Nonna, you know? Nonna's didn't measure stuff. I actually, to be quite honest, a lot of times don't measure stuff either. You know, I do like how they taught me. I had a small little cup, which is like an espresso cup. But for you guys, I convert, like I'll make the stuff and I'll measure it so that I can tell you exactly how much, right? Okay, I want just a little bit more. Perfect. I love nutmeg. Okay, and now the same idea with the flour, guys. Okay, start off with only 3/4 a cup, and then if you need to add a little bit more, you can add more, okay? Because, like I said, you can't take away flour, but you can add flour, okay?
Sorry, did you say just the nutmeg so far and no flour?
Correct. So far we got the pumpkin, okay, the salt, the freshly grated nutmeg, and I just added my flour on top now. Okay, I'm beating my egg. Let me put a little bit of flour on my baking sheet here. I forgot to do that.
Sorry, another question. How much squash?
How much squash? Oh, okay, so I would say the same thing. It's about like 2 cups, okay? 2 cups of squash.
Mine looks a little less, so I'm just gonna add a little less of everything.
Okay, so in that case, put just under 3/4 a cup of flour, okay? And then if you need to add more, you can slowly add more, okay? Because it also depends on the retention of water from your pumpkin or squash that you're using, okay, guys? Fresh pumpkins especially will have a lot more water, the same idea as with potatoes. The older it gets, the drier it becomes. And the reason why you especially don't want to boil pumpkin or squash is because it's already very high in water. Boiling it, because you can't boil it whole, right? You have to cut it. That means it's going to absorb the water that it's boiling in, okay? Which in turn then means it's going to eat more flour, okay, guys? Now, another tip is if you did boil your pumpkin or your squash, when you rice it, you'll see water pooling to the sides of your plate, okay? You get that water and you discard it, all right? That way you already eliminated the extra moisture that you don't need, okay? So
What about microwaving it if you're in a pinch?
yeah, you can microwave it, okay? That's also fine, okay? Microwaving is actually, I would say, better than boiling it if you're in a pinch, all right? So we've got the pumpkin or your squash, you've got your nutmeg, you've got your flour, all right? And now we're going to put in the egg, okay? Now we're gonna start to mix it. Same as before, just gently use your fingertips to, you know, get it all going. Okay? And the same technique as with the other doughs. You know, you gotta go by feel, you gotta go by look. If it looks too squishy, you add more flour. Okay? Mine is very soft and squishy. I definitely know I need a lot more flour. I can't do nothing with this, like see, right? Okay? And I started with only 3/4. Okay? And I roasted my pumpkin, all right, guys? To try and eliminate as much water as possible. Okay, so I'm gonna add just a little bit more flour here. Okay, and you just wanna work it so that you can form it again into a ball and work with it without it being, you know, sticking all to you, right? Like it's like this, I can't do nothing, right? I can't shape nothing with that. Okay. So that's why, like, the recipe here said 1 cup, okay, guys? I started off with 3/4 a cup, all right? And I added a little bit more. So I'm pretty much almost past a cup, guys. So that's why I said the recipe is just a general guideline and you have to use, okay, your senses and your knowledge. You have to let your fingers feel, you have to let your eyes feel and do the looking, okay? It's a combination of your eyes, your hands, trusting your intuition, okay? Now, the best thing, although, about working with pumpkin is not starchy, right? Or butternut squash, okay, guys? So, you know, you don't really have to, or very high in carbs, so you're not worrying too much about it becoming tough and hard, okay? Now,
Sorry, for the pumpkin, does it matter what kind of pumpkin it is?
it doesn't matter what kind of pumpkin it is. Like, I use the, you know, those small little pumpkins?
Like a pie pumpkin.
Pardon?
It's like a pie pumpkin, like the ones you use for pumpkin pie?
It doesn't matter, whatever it is, okay? Okay, so mine is very sticky still, so I need more flour. Okay, guys? Well, I'm gonna keep going. Like I said, until you can form a ball. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna transfer this now to my board so I can work a little bit better. Okay, I'm just gonna go put this on my counter. All right, we're gonna keep going. I'm getting there, okay? So I'm starting to get there. Still a little too sticky for my liking, way too sticky. And like I said again, water content, okay? It's starting to get there. I'm starting to get there slowly but surely, see? Okay. And with my pumpkin gnocchi, I am not going to shape them on the board. I like my pumpkin gnocchi like plain, because I'm gonna probably enjoy this with brown butter sage. That's how I like to enjoy it best, with the brown butter sage sauce or with the cream sauce. Tastes really good with the cream sauce because you also have a little bit of nutmeg in there, so it kind of like plays together. Okay. So you're just gently going like this, you know, working it, but you're not kneading it like I said before, you're not kneading it like pasta dough or like bread dough, okay? Okay, just a little bit more. How's everyone's dough? Are you finding your dough too sticky? Are you finding you have to add more flour? Don't be scared. Okay, do not be scared. You're not alone. You're not going gentle into the night alone. Don't worry. Oh, I can smell the nutmeg in the dough. Oh my God, it's like heaven. Oh, so good. I love nutmeg. Okay, now I'm gonna just take out the dough here like this. Okay. Okay, and I'm put just a little bit more because. Okay. And also, if you wanted to, okay, guys, sorry, you can even add potato to pumpkin gnocchi, like one potato. All right. If you wanted to make it super foolproof and you're worrying about it disintegrating or being too high in water content, because pumpkin compared to potatoes has a lot of water. Okay, and the potato absorbs water, right? So it would help to absorb the moisture from the pumpkin. You can use that as a foolproof way if you wanted to next time, okay? Okay, guys, so in total for this, just by eyeing, I probably used about 2 cups of flour for mine, okay? And I can tell you that's because my pumpkin, okay, 1 was a fresh pumpkin, 2 had a lot of water, even though I roasted it, okay? So like I said, this is why recipes aren't always exact, okay? And why sometimes you might Google something on the internet and you follow it exactly, and you're like, yeah, well, that didn't work for me. Yeah, well, that's because that person probably had less water content in something or whatever it might be. Okay, so I'm okay with mine, okay? How are you guys with yours? Angela, you good? I know you made some last weekend, so I'm pretty sure you're good to go here. Okay. I haven't seen Monica in a while. I think she has her camera off. That's fine. If you need anything, Monica, you just let me know. I'm here. Okay. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna start shaping mine. I'm just gonna flour my board here.
Wait, my dough feels like a little grainy.
To roll it. Yes, anybody have question?
Yeah, my dough feels a little grainy.
It feels a little grainy. Okay, is it super sticky?
It was. I had to like add a lot of flour.
Okay, so is it hard now?
Yeah, feels more firm now.
Feels more firm, but is it like if you were to put your finger in it, does it still make a mark?
Yes.
Okay, so it's okay, that's fine. All right. Did you boil your pumpkin or did you roast it?
I roasted it, but I peeled it before I roasted it.
Okay, I did that too. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay, that's fine. Okay, it could just be that your pumpkin, like mine, is high in water content, and that's okay. So, like mine right now, okay, feels a little sticky still, but I don't want to add any more flour to it. Okay. Pumpkin gnocchi are very delicate, okay? It's gonna be different than your ricotta gnocchi. It's gonna be different than your potato gnocchi, okay? You're gonna even find like if you're doing it on the gnocchi board, you might think like, oh my God, it's falling apart, okay? So like mine, okay? I'm gonna cut it and I'm gonna roll it that way because it's too big. Okay, just roll it out and be gentle. Like I said, experimentation, okay guys? If you find that it's too hard, too much flour. If you find that it's too soft, not enough flour. Okay? You're not gonna always get everything perfect the first time. Okay? That's fine. And I also like if you find it's so you're gonna have your board floured so it doesn't stick. But if you find that it's sticking to your hands, just flour your hands, okay? Okay, so I'm done rolling. And I'm just going to cut them. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do it into the diamond shape, okay? So I have like little diamonds.
Lisa?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just finished rolling. Can you look at my dough to see if it's okay?
You
So it looks like that, and I can.
Yeah, and it's not sticky?
No.
Okay, very good.
Okay, and then I cut it in quarters and like we did with the ricotta gnocchi and then just roll it out?
And then,
Or in four?
you could cut it in quarters or whatever size you feel comfortable working with, okay? And then you cut them into the squares, and then you can either leave it into the squares or you can shape them with the gnocchi board, okay? Okay. Here are my pumpkin gnocchi. I'm leaving them as is, so it doesn't eat up all the butter. I just want to taste the brown butter, Sage. I don't want to have gobs of it in my mouth. That's my preference. So I'm just cutting them into, I'm doing the diamond shape by placing my scraper or your knife on a 45 instead of a straight line. Okay. Okay. I'm going to keep going. It's getting a little hot in here. Probably just me. Okay. And you keep going till you use up all your dough. Okay. So, when do you guys cook your gnocchis tonight? If you're cooking them all, if you're only cooking a few of them, and you're disappointed, or you're not sure what you did or went wrong, you guys just message me and we'll figure it out and we'll work it out, okay? Your learning doesn't just stop at the end of this lesson. I'm always available, okay, guys? Even a month from now, 2 months from now, whatever, you decide to make them, you have some questions, you want to ask me something, you can always message me, okay? Email me, DM me, whatever, and I'll get back to you and I'll help you. Also, if they came out excellent and you're impressed, you also let me know, okay? Like I said, like, just like with baking or cooking, you know, like, it's all about, you know, eyeing, feel, you know, going by looks, going by touch. That's why it's very important to get in there with your hands, you know, and the more you do this, the more you'll know what the dough should feel like automatically, you know, the more your eyes will recognize that, yeah, this dough is right, it's correct. The more your hands by touch will know, yep, this feels good, feels right, doesn't feel right. And then the more like confidence you build, and then your logic and your common sense and just general knowledge of working with whatever it is that you're making improves, right? And it becomes second nature.
Does the dough here have to feel like a freshly opened Play-Doh container, or is it, or a thicker?
No,
Just so I have an idea.
like Play-Doh. Like, you know when you first buy Play-Doh and it's nice and soft and malleable?
Yeah,
Like that.
perfect. Okay.
Okay. And my hands have a little bit too much stuff on them, so I'm gonna clean them. Okay. Not too much flour there, that's why it's not rolling. Okay, now I'm just gonna cut it. And if you guys wanted to take a shortcut and make pumpkin gnocchi, but don't want to buy a pumpkin and clean it and roast it, you could kind of, well, kind of, I say it's a sin. You could use, you know, the pumpkin puree that you buy. Okay, you could use that. Just make sure you buy it without the spices in it. Some already sell it with the pumpkin pie spices in it. You don't want to be using that, okay? You can do that as a shortcut. The only thing is, you know, that might be a little bit different in terms of eating up your dough. Okay. Okay, guys, so I'm good to go here. Okay, I'm gonna start cleaning up my workspace so that I can get my cooking elements ready for you to make sauce. Okay, don't worry if you're not done yet. It's gonna take me maybe 5-10 minutes to set up here. Okay, guys, so please be patient. All right, here we go. Let me get a cloth. Oh, here, I'll use this. we get. Okay. You guys, I'm almost done setting up. Okay. Oh, that's what I need. Okay. Okay, guys, you let me know when you're ready. I'm ready. All right, guys. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the ragu sauce because that's gonna take about an hour to cook. Doesn't mean you're gonna be spending the hour with me making it. Just means you want to start it off so that it can set aside and cook while we're doing other things, okay? So you want to start off with 3 tablespoons, okay, of extra virgin olive oil in your pot that you're going to use to make your ragu, okay? And you're going to turn it up to medium-high heat, okay? And you're going to let it get really hot. I'm working on a portable stove top here on my table. It might take just slightly a little bit longer for mine to get hot than yours, okay? So for this, you're gonna need your 3 tablespoons of olive oil, your 1 onion that you diced, 1 carrot, 1 celery, 3 cloves of garlic all diced, okay? And then 1 pound of either veal, beef, or a mixture of each. That's all on your preference, okay? Salt and pepper to taste, 1 cup of red wine, and then 1 jar of passata or 1 can of fresh tomatoes, okay? And you need tomato paste, all right? I like the tomato paste in the tube. That way, if you don't use it all, you can just put it in the fridge and store it and not have to worry about it going to waste, because once you use it in the can and it's opened, you have to use it right away, okay? We're gonna let that get nice and hot. And salt, pepper, yeah, okay, good to go. And just letting it get hot, I'll be right back. Okay, and I am back. Sorry, I just have to step out of frame. Okay, we're gonna let it get nice and hot here. Oh, my wine. Get it ready. Any Italian wine is fine, okay? Red Italian wine. Obviously, if you're cooking Italian, you're gonna use Italian wine. Let's not sin against our dish. Oh, yeah, guys, I'm getting to that point where I'm starting to get a little loopy. Little loopy. Okay. And if you guys wanted to add a little bit of dry oregano, you could. Okay, but these are the basics, okay? Ragu sauce, meat sauce, there's as many variations in recipes as there is as an Italian grandmother, okay? Some add basil, some will add bay leaves. I sometimes add bay leaves if I want to cut the acidity in the sauce, okay? I don't want it to be too acidic. That's the best and most all-natural way, okay? Do not put sugar in there. But the carrot, because we're using carrot in the sauce here to make the ragu, that's already going to naturally help to cut the acidity, okay? So you don't have to worry about putting the bay leaf, all right? Now, when you have carrot, onion, and celery diced together like this and you're using it in a recipe, it's called sofrito, okay, guys? So there's a little foodie knowledge for you. Okay, let me get my spoon here. Okay, I'm gonna drop in just a little bit just to see if my pot's hot enough, just because I'm using this induction thing. Induction thingy-majiggy. Okay, I need to get a little bit more hot. If your pot is already at high temperature and hot, okay, you're ready to go, add in your garlic, the onion, carrot, and celery, okay? And you're going to let it saute, guys, okay? Stir it occasionally, okay? You want to do this until you see the onion is starting to get slightly translucent and soft, okay? Okay, you want to stir, but don't constantly stir it, because when you're constantly stirring something, what you're doing is allowing cold air to get in, okay? And you're moving air around, so you're cooling it down, all right? So there's a tip for you. That's why when you're cooking, okay, you're not supposed to constantly stir something unless it requires to be constantly stirred and it says to do that, all right? So I'm gonna season it with a little bit of salt, okay? A little bit of black pepper, okay? And then once the onions have become slightly translucent and soft, then that's when you will add in your ground meat, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna stir this now. Okay. Oh. And if you wanted to make this slightly spicy because you like spicy, okay, you could put in a whole chili pepper, fresh or dry, and just gently score it, make a line so that the essence and the juice and the heat comes out into the sauce without getting all the seeds, okay? Or you can use Calabrese La Bomba, okay, which is a hot sauce, okay? Or dry chili pepper flakes if you don't mind getting little seeds, okay? Okay, so my onion is starting to get slightly translucent now. Okay, I'm gonna give it about another minute. And then I'm going to add in my ground pork. I'm using ground pork, okay? So when you put in your meat, okay, you want to break it up with your hands when you're putting it in, okay? Okay, and then you want to cook this till it's no longer pink, okay? I'm just gonna go rinse my hands. They're important, especially working with pork or poultry. Okay, and then again, I'm gonna season it with a little bit of salt. So when you cook, you're building layers, okay, guys? So you season as you add each addition, but you only put a little bit, right, of each, or else it's gonna get salty. So when you saute your onions, your garlic, your carrot, and your celery, you put a little bit of salt and black pepper. And once you add in your meat, you put just a little bit of salt and black pepper, okay? You're building flavors as you go, okay? So now I'm gonna stir, okay? And I'm breaking up the meat with my wooden spoon here, while also incorporating the onion, garlic, carrot, and celery into it, okay? So that like, it's kind of like you're trying to mix it all in together. So that way, eventually when you bite into a piece of pork meat, you get a little piece of onion, garlic, carrot, or celery. Okay, and you're just gonna keep doing that, like I said, till it's no longer pink. Cook the meat, okay? And once it's no longer pink, then you can add in your 1 cup of red wine, okay? And then you're gonna let that cook, okay, until the wine has slightly reduced. Okay. It should start smelling delicious right now in your house. Should be able to smell the onion, the garlic, the carrot, the celery, all blending into that nice, beautiful meat that you're using, whatever it is that you chose to use. Okay. How's everyone doing so far? Good? Okay. As usual, any questions along the way? You're unsure of something, you didn't hear anything, just ask away. Okay, so keep going. Once it's, like I said, no longer pink, then you add the wine, okay? You don't want to add the wine while it's still pink, because then what you're essentially doing is poaching your meat in wine, okay? We're not trying to poach the meat into the wine, okay? Okay, guys, I'm almost there. I see another 2-3 minutes more. Okay, and then I'm gonna add the wine. Okay. And if you wanted to add some oregano, you could. I'm going to, because I like oregano. That's preference. Okay. Dry oregano. If you want to toss a bay leaf into there, okay, you would do that after you add the sauce. Okay, so my meat is no longer pink. Okay, so now I am going to add my wine, my 1 cup of red wine. I'm using an Italian Merlot. Okay, any Italian wine is fine. Red wine, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna eye this.
Lisa, sorry, because I'm not using wine, should I be putting any other kind of liquid to make up for the difference?
So once you put in the tomato sauce, okay, then you're going to add liquid, which is going to be water, okay? Well, I'm eyeballing this. I've done this enough times. Okay, 1 cup. Okay, and then you're just going to let that reduce, okay? Cook it till it's slightly reduced. Okay, and then we're gonna add in the tomato paste, and then we'll add in the tomato sauce, and then you add in some water. Now, the reason why you add in some water, even if you did add wine, okay, is because tomatoes, especially crushed tomatoes in a can or the passata, is very thick, right? So you need to thin it out a bit, okay? Because as sauce cooks, it thickens. So if you keep it this thick, it's gonna be way too thick, okay? So you wanna add a little bit of water because the crushed tomatoes is very concentrated, okay, especially if it's passata in the jar, which I also have. But because I already had this open, I had to use a little bit yesterday to make a pizza roll. I'm gonna finish it off. In my house, waste not, want not. Okay, if you're using a plain tomato sauce already that you cooked the day before, that is totally fine. You're doing it the exact same steps as this. You're treating it the same exact way, okay? Okay, so another 2 more minutes, and I'm gonna add the tomato paste, okay? And it's about 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. Or you can just eye it. And the tomato paste, because it's very concentrated, it helps to add a lot of depth, richness, and flavor, and that combined with the wine, just delicious, okay? So now I'm gonna put in my tomato paste. That's about 1 tablespoon. Okay, and you're gonna stir it around. Before you add in your sauce, stir it around so it mixes well, because tomato paste is very thick, so you wanna make sure that you can see that you've mixed it in very well.
Sorry, Lisa, I missed that. Are you making the other sauce right beside it?
Yet, I haven't started yet.
Okay.
Okay, I'm doing this. We're doing one at a time. Okay, now that my tomato paste is well incorporated, I'm gonna add my sauce, okay? Okay. And this also freezes very well, guys. You keep it in the freezer for up to a month. Okay, you can even use this if you wanted to make a different type of lasagna. If you wanted to get a little funky and do the ragu sauce like this, you can use it for lasagna, pasta, gnocchi. You can make panzerotti filled with it. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of water, okay? So as a generalization, if you're using one of these cans, okay, we're gonna go to just a little bit less than half, okay? So you can use your can as a guide. If you use the jar passata, it would be a little bit less than half a jar passata, okay? And I'm gonna pour it in here so I get all that little bit of, you know, you wanna use it all up, all that little bit that's stuck to the sides, and stir it around, thin it out, right? Waste not, want not. This is exactly what nonas do. And we all know that nonas are very, very stingy and economical. Okay. And just turn, stir it well. Okay. And season it with just a little bit more salt and black pepper. Okay. And you're gonna let it come now, okay, to a boil just to regulate the heat. Okay. Once it's come to a boil, you're going to stir it. So once it comes to a boil, you're going to stir it to make sure it's not burning, sticking at the bottom. Then you will place the lid on top of it, okay? And then you're going to lower the heat and you're going to let it simmer for 60 minutes, okay? I say the longer the better, okay? The shortest time I've ever let it go on is 60 minutes if I'm in a crunch, but I generally like to let it go for 2 to 3 hours, especially if you're doing a bolognese sauce, okay? And that is by adding whole milk or heavy cream. So if you have a big container of heavy cream and you want to turn this right now into a bolognese, okay, you would add 1 cup of this, okay, of whole milk or heavy cream, okay, and bolognese sauce has to cook for a minimum of 2 hours, okay. That's because you want that milk to penetrate into the meat, and it's going to make it so soft and tender and flavorful, and it mingles with the tomato sauce. And the wine is just spectacular. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna let this now come to a boil to regulate the heat. I'm gonna clean this up in the meantime. Okay. Clean as we go. Okay, I'm back. So again, because I'm on like an induction here, mine might take is gonna take just a little bit longer. And then I'm gonna transfer to my actual stove here in the kitchen, so that way I can work comfortably. I dropped a little bit of tomato paste here in my pot. So I need to clean it. Okay, and I'm gonna make my panna sauce in here. Okay. All right, so it's starting to boil. So once your sauce has come to a boil, stir it, put the lid on it, okay, and lower the heat, okay, to like not to almost fully low, okay, and then let it cook for a minimum an hour. But remember to go and turn it every now and then, okay, just so that way it's not sticking or burning at the bottom, okay. And then you can, as it's cooking, you can try it for seasoning and adjust the seasoning. If you want to put a little bit more salt and pepper to taste, that's what you would do, okay? So now I'm going to transfer this here to my actual real kitchen stove. Okay. And now, if everybody's on the same page, we can start with the panna sauce. So as you can see, making that is not difficult, okay, at all. Just the most difficult thing or time-consuming thing is the chopping of your onion, garlic, carrot, and celery, and then just the sauteing, and then what I say, set it and forget it. You set it there and forget it, but just make sure you stir it every now and then, okay? Okay, guys, so now we're gonna move on to the panna sauce. Okay, for this, you're gonna need your 4 tablespoons of butter, 4 cloves of garlic, okay, that you crushed with the heel of your knife, all right? This is just to help give it flavor. You want to infuse the sauce with a slight flavor of garlic. You don't want to necessarily eat chunks or little pieces of garlic, okay? All right, and then you're gonna need 2 cups of heavy cream, all right? If you're worried about it being too heavy or you're on somewhat of a restriction, you can do 1 cup of heavy cream and 1 cup of milk, okay? As an alternative, salt and pepper to taste and freshly ground nutmeg. The parsley is optional. You would put that in, okay? Just before you're going to mix your sauce with whatever pasta or gnocchi, okay? You don't want to cook the parsley in the sauce because it's going to turn an off greenish color and it's going to get too soft and mushy, okay? So I'm going to put my pot on top. I'm going to put my butter. And we're going to start off by letting the butter melt. Okay. Then once it's melted, then we'll put in the garlic. Okay.
Lisa?
Yeah.
Is this heavy cream?
It's just under heavy cream, but you can use that as well. So that's fine. As long as it's not any lower than 18%, you're okay. All right. I have 35%. I've done it with 18%. I've even done it with, like I said, a mix of 35% and milk. All right. Sometimes you might not have enough of one ingredient, so you kind of have to substitute. That's fine. In that event, okay, if you're, say, using that over there and you find it's not getting thick enough, you might have to add a slight addition of either flour or cornstarch to help it slightly, okay? That's the only difference that might happen. The same if you're going to use 1 cup of the heavy cream and 1 cup of milk to substitute, you might need to add a little bit of flour or cornstarch to help it get to the thickness that you want it. So panna sauce is thick, but just enough to coat the back of a spoon. It's not as thick as Alfredo.
And sorry, how much garlic?
So 4 cloves of garlic, okay, crushed with the heel of your knife. Okay, so I'm putting in the garlic. Okay, guys, and you just want the garlic to slightly get brown, all right? You want it to just get slightly golden, okay? And then you're gonna need a whisk, okay? Or you can use a wooden spoon to whisk the cream sauce in there, okay? The heat and the action of the whisking is what's gonna help to thicken it up, okay? Because you know whipping cream, when you whip, it thickens, right? Okay. Okay, so now that my my garlic is slightly golden, okay, I am going to add in my cream. Okay, so I already have 1 cup pre-measured because I finished an old one that I had. Okay, and now this is a new one that I opened. Here's the 1 cup on this side right here. Okay, I'm gonna measure 1 cup. Okay.
How many cups in total?
So 2 cups in total. Okay. Okay. And you're gonna whisk it, okay? And at this point, you can right now add a little bit of salt to it, so black pepper, and the freshly ground nutmeg. While you're whisking it, you can wait till the end or do it now. Okay, and again, nutmeg to taste. I am not going to tell you an exact amount because nutmeg is a preferential thing. Okay. I also like to add nutmeg to my mac and cheese when I make the cheese sauce for it. If I'm doing it from scratch, or even if I buy, the store-bought Annie's or President's Choice mac and cheese, and I make the sauce, I always add nutmeg to it. Nutmeg with cream and cheese just is very delicious. It's very complimentary. Okay, you're gonna whisk. Okay, this here might take some time until it's thickened. Especially because I'm using an induction stove top here, I think, portable, whatever you want to call it. Okay. I'm gonna just stick my finger, see if it's getting hot. Yeah, it's starting to get there. So you got to keep an eye because you don't want it to scorch and you don't want it to burn. You know, when it starts to make that little film at the bottom of your pot, you don't want to do that, okay, guys? So if you see that it's getting too hot and it's really boiling hard, your heat is too high, you need to lower it, okay? So medium-high heat or medium. Okay, and if you're using less than 35% or you're doing half of the cream and half milk, you're going to need to add a little bit of flour or cornstarch. Now, here is a tip if you're doing that, okay? You want to remove some of a little bit of liquid from the pot, okay? With a little bit of cold water, put in the flour, the cornstarch, and make a runny kind of paste, and then pour it in here, okay? You do not want to add cornstarch or flour directly into a pot of hot liquid because it's going to clump up, okay? That's a big no-no. Okay, I'm just gonna go check on my ragu here. Remember, guys, okay, just turn it right now. Okay, and before you freeze anything, remember, so like your meat sauce, if you're not gonna eat it tonight, you want to freeze, make sure it's completely cooled down first. Completely cool. Okay, and if you were to add freshly grated or store-bought already grated Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, that's when it becomes an Alfredo sauce, like I said. So if you want to have an Alfredo sauce right now and you have some farm cheese, knock yourself out, add it in. Okay, mine's starting to get slightly thickened. And as it cools down, it gets thicker, okay, guys? So even if you think it's too liquidy, when it cools down, it's gonna get thicker. Like even with Alfredo sauce, you know when you make it and by the time it's cooled down, it's so thick, okay? I'm just gonna do a little spoon test, okay? You need to go a little bit longer. Okay. How's everyone's sauce coming out so far? Is it slightly bubbling and getting thickened? Or is it still too liquidy? Let me know if we can find alternatives for you. Okay. So mine is okay. But I know.
Can you see what the texture is supposed to look like?
Pardon?
What is the texture supposed to look like? If I put it on a spatula and I put my finger across, should it leave like a mark?
Yes. Okay. Or it can just drip off the back of your spoon. Okay. If it's not dripping off, that means it's way too thick. And by the time it cools down, it's going to be even thicker. So you might want to loosen it up with a little bit more cream if you have. If you don't have any more cream, add a little bit of milk. Don't add water.
Should it be at high medium or low medium?
It depends on your stove. Right now, because I'm using this, I'm at like a high, okay? If you're on a medium, okay? And just stir so it doesn't burn and stick, okay? If you're running out of patience and you think it's taking too long, okay, like I said, you can add a little bit of flour, okay? If you want me to show you how to do that, that's not a problem, okay? I'll show you how to do that right now, okay? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some water here. Okay. So I've got some water here. Okay, I'm gonna get some of the cream and put it in here. This is to temper the cream in here so it doesn't make either the cornstarch or the flour get lumpy as soon as I put it in. Okay, then I'm gonna go get some flour. Or you can use cornstarch, either or. Okay, start off with a little bit, and if you need to add more, you add more as you go. So,
Sorry, your picture's frozen, so I can't even see what you're doing.
okay, so what I did was I grabbed a little bit of water, a little bit of the cream from the pot. Did I freeze? Oh, hold on. Okay, sorry. So what I did was get a little bit of water, a little bit of cream for the pot, mix it together in here. Okay, and now I'm gonna add a little bit of flour here to make a paste, like a liquidy paste, so I can add it to the pot, show you guys how to thicken it. If you're having issues with it becoming thick naturally on its own, or because you're using a different type of cream, or you mixed it with milk, all right? So you don't need too much flour, because flour, it's better to add a little at a time than too much. Because if it gets too thick, okay, then you have to do the opposite and add liquid to it. Okay, so I did that. Now I'm going to gently pour this in, okay, and make sure you're turning it as you're doing it so it doesn't lump up, okay, because if it starts to lump, you're gonna have a lumpy cream sauce. Okay, and that should help thicken your sauce if you're having issues, okay? If you're finding that it's still a little too thin, do the exact same thing. A little bit more water in your cup, a little bit more of the cream, add a little bit of flour, make a slurry, that's what it's called, and add it in, okay? See, this is getting there, okay? Just like, you know, when you make gravy, exactly like that. It's called the slurry, okay? And there you go, guys. That's your cream sauce. Okay, see, it's gotten thicker. This is good. I like it a little bit more loose. And the reason why I like it a little bit more loose, because it's gonna get like double the thickness once it's cooled down. And I don't like my sauce too sticky and pasty, especially if you're eating, say, like linguine with it. You want it to be able to, you know, you want it to be silky and velvety, okay? So that you can kind of slurp it, okay? That's how you want it to be. So this is good for me. Okay, I'm gonna remove it from the heat. Okay, and that's that. Okay, now I'm gonna go put this aside. Okay. So let me just put this away. Let me get a little bit more butter. And I'm gonna show you guys how to make a brown butter sage. Okay. And my leaves. All right. Okay. Delicious. All right, guys. So if you need more time, let me know. Okay.
Lisa, sorry, can you go over again what sauces are better with which gnocchi so I can write it down?
The potato gnocchi, any of the sauces is fine. Okay.
Okay.
With the pumpkin gnocchi, okay. Any of the sauces is fine, but I prefer not to have it with the meat sauce. I like it with the brown butter sage or with the cream sauce, goes really, really well. Okay, and then with the gnocchi, either the cream sauce or the ragu sauce. It doesn't really go well with the brown butter sage, but
So the ricotta gnocchi?
yeah, I find the ricotta gnocchi with cream sauce is very heavy and rich. So if you're a person who's not into, say you can't handle too much dairy and you don't like stuff that's too rich and heavy, go with the ragu or plain tomato sauce is always best, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. This cream sauce, if I'm not going to eat it for like another hour, an hour and a half,
Yep.
now that it's all cooked, do I just leave it on the stove and cover it?
Yeah, leave it on the stove and cover so it doesn't make a film, okay? And then when it's time, if you see that's made a film, just scrape the film off the top, okay? Because you don't want to serve that. And then gently reheat the sauce on a low medium, okay, until it slightly bubbles. Then remove it and automatically add pasta or your gnocchi to it, okay?
Okay.
And then you can add your parsley if you want to put parsley with it. Okay, guys. So I'm making now the brown butter sage sauce, okay? So you want to get your butter and put it in a pot, saucepan, pot, whatever, okay? On a medium low heat because you don't want it to burn, okay? Burnt butter is not what we're going here for. We just want it to, it's like caramelizing the butter, okay? And in essence, that's what we're doing, okay? And then you want to put in the sage leaves, okay? And your garlic, all right? So it's going to be 6 tablespoons of butter, 6 fresh sage leaves, or a bit more if you want more, preference as well, and 3 cloves of garlic cracked with the heel of your knife, okay? And then you want to fish out the garlic before you serve it, okay? The garlic's just to help infuse it and build more flavor, okay? And you're just gonna keep doing this, okay, until you see the butter starting to get brown around the sides, okay? Once it's gotten brown around the sides, then you start to turn it before it burns, okay? If it's happening way too fast, that means your heat is way too high and you need to lower the heat, okay? So what, slow and low, gentle, okay? And then this sauce here, okay, like I said, you can't freeze this, you can't refrigerate because it's not a sauce. It's basically melted butter infused with the essence of sage and garlic, okay? You either use it right away or if you're gonna say, Vanessa, if you're making this now and you wanna use it later, okay, slightly warm it up very, very low, okay? Just so that way the butter is fully melted again because it might start to coagulate and get hard, okay? And you do that just before your gnocchi are cooked and then toss it together in the pan. And if you're putting the garlic, remember to remove the garlic before you add your pasta, gnocchi, whatever it is that you're serving it with. This also goes good with meat, guys. You can use this to put on top of a steak, all right? Brush on top of a steak. Delicious, over baked potato. Delicious, you put butter over baked potato. You can have garlic, sage infused brown butter over it. So it's versatile. It's not a one-trick pony. Okay. And
Sorry, with this, do we do the same thing with any other pasta where we save a bit of the water to mix the sauces?
not for this here. No, not for the gnocchi, okay? Because the gnocchi are already starchy because of the potato and the flour or whatever else like that. Pasta is different because pasta gets dried out, okay? So you need that extra liquid. This here you don't. And the butter, if you add water to butter, what happens? You see the fat from the butter pool, right? Just like if you add water and oil, you don't want to do that with this, okay? So mine's trying to get slightly brown. I can see little brown bits, okay? I'm gonna keep going. Keep an eye on it, okay? So that it's not burning. If it smells burning, then you went too far. Start all over again. You don't want to serve burnt butter to anybody ever. Okay. Oh yeah, this is delicious. I'm just gonna snap a picture here. Okay. So guys, I'm gonna show you. I don't know if you'll be able to see me if I close my ring light. Okay. You can see, do you see how it's browned? Okay. See the brownness? This is perfect. Okay. I'm taking it out because if I leave this any longer, it's gonna burn. Okay. The butter is a nice brown color. Okay. And you can smell it. Smells delicious. If it smells burnt and the sage leaves smell burnt, okay, you need to start all over. If you want the sage leaves, they're gonna feel a little bit crispy. That's good, okay? And you want to serve it with the sage leaves because you can eat them, okay? That's also a delicacy. We fry sage leaves and eat them. We even batter them, fry them and eat them, okay? And that's it, guys. You made 3 gnocchi. You made your potato gnocchi, your pumpkin gnocchi, or squash if you squash, ricotta gnocchi, and you got your 3 sauces. Ragu or bolognese if you decide to add the cream. You've got your pata sauce or Alfredo if you decide to add the Parmigiano cheese to it. And you've got your brown butter sage. Now the only thing left to do is to cook your gnocchi and try it with the sauces, okay? You let me know how that goes. How it tastes, how the gnocchi came out, how the sauces came out. If you're serving it to anybody, let me know how that goes, what their thoughts are. Also, if you guys have, any critique, any comments, any concerns, feel free to message me. If there's anything else that I can help you with.
Thank you, Lisa. Cheers to you.
Thank you. I'm gonna have mine too in a little bit, guys. Enjoy, guys. Thank
I'm
you.
excited. Thank you so much. You were amazing.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Ciao.
Bye.
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 All right. Wait, don't say nothing yet. Hold on.